Imagine what the country could have been doing if we hadn't been embarked upon this xenophobic fever dream since 2016. Imagine the problems that could have been nipped in the bud or avoided altogether. Imagine the energy and effort that could have been put into actual projects designed to improve the status of our nation, whether it was keeping the battery thing up in the north open, or whether it was being better prepared for pandemics, or whether it was actually having supply chains staying unmolested by Brexit so that we wouldn't have actual rationing of actual tomatoes in actual British supermarkets. But on we go. So it wasn't oven ready, right? It didn't get Brexit done, but people like Nadine Dorries and James Duddridge are still offering up their membership of the Boris Johnson fan club. That perhaps is the bit that we're going to talk about. I think today is a delusion day. Today is a day for trying to dismantle the level of delusion that is needed to get a country to where the United Kingdom has been taken. So it's not that long ago that Boris Johnson told this country and told Parliament that the deal was oven ready, until the minute he was handed his ass by his own party and shown the door, he was claiming it as an achievement. He was boasting about having got it done. You now know, even if you were kidding yourself up until this point, you now know that he didn't get it done, that it wasn't oven ready, and that the prospect of the United Kingdom being split, logistically split, so that moving goods to Belfast, if they're destined for Dublin, is categorically different from moving goods to Birmingham. The United Kingdom has been, or will be if this deal gets through, fractured. And it's the only way that you can paper over the much bigger cracks that Brexit has visited upon this country. Again, I find myself wondering what the hell I would be talking to you about if I'd encouraged you to vote for Brexit, or being part of the despicable political media conspiracy to, largely through ignorance, not malevolence, just through stupidity and failure to understand things, that inflicted this fraud, this epic fraud upon an entire nation. I have no clue today. Well, maybe cyclists or something, I don't know. I'd be desperate, but I'm not going to, obviously. How did it happen? If you take today as a day on which it is no longer possible to pretend that Boris Johnson's deal got Brexit done, or indeed that it was oven ready, how do you think that lie went so far, did so much damage? An 80-seat majority in the House of Commons, a Prime Minister utterly ill-equipped to cope with a global pandemic, a regime, an administration that included someone who thought he could look you in the eye and claim that he'd undertaken a 60-mile round trip on his wife's birthday because he needed to test his eyesight before driving back to London, all in direct contravention of the lockdown rules that he had helped to draw up. How did a lie of this magnitude get sold to a country of this quality? How did it happen? How did it happen? I still don't know. 0345 6060 973. And if you fell for the lies, if you thought the deal was oven ready, if you thought Boris Johnson did get Brexit done, I'll put you to the front of the queue today. The front of the queue. Why did you fall for it? What made you believe people like Jacob Rees-Mogg and Nadine Dorries were somehow trustworthy when people like John Major and Gordon Brown were not? I'd love to know. I'd love to know. 0345 6060 973. We will. What time is the press conference? Do we know? We'll keep an eye on events today. But it is a ribbon-cutting exercise. They're trying to pretend otherwise. But Ursula von der Leyen has no mandate to negotiate. She doesn't have the mandate from the European Commission. All she can do is sign it. So whatever has been agreed has been agreed. There's no last-minute niggling or negotiating. It's all there. And here we are as a country. And Johnson came in when? Middle of 2019. Got Brexit done. It was oven ready. You can no longer pretend that it was. You can lie to yourself. You can get angry with me for pointing this out. You can scream furiously at the reflection in the mirror that I'm holding up. But you can no longer pretend that the deal was oven ready, that it would get Brexit done, or that he'd somehow be able to avoid checks on goods going into Northern Ireland from Great Britain. All of that, categorically untrue, demonstrably false, utterly fraudulent. How did this wonderful, wonderful country fall for such an almighty con job? Hit the numbers now. You will get through. I'm not sure I've ever asked you that question precisely before. 0345 6060 973 is the number you need. Now that it is, if you bring a scintilla of honesty to the table, and I appreciate that that is far from guaranteed, but a single scintilla of honesty, you can no longer pretend that Boris Johnson's Brexit was anything other than an almighty con job. How did it happen? And as many perspectives as possible, as ever on the programme, especially if you fell for it. Because remember, you'll get no grief from me. No grief from me. My fury is reserved for the people that sold it, not the people that bought it. Contempt for the con men. Compassion for the conned. How did it happen?